Faith without works is dead, and so is your music without promotion. God didn't call you to hide your light, so stop hiding your music. You know you've been called to something great, and in this video, I want to cover and share how you can promote your music as a Christian artist. And whether you're a Christian artist or not, and you just want to promote your music, you're going to find value in this video. My name's Chris, also known as the Artist Manifest. I started in the music industry over 15 plus years ago. We signed to a Christian label called BC Tooth and Nail Records, which had distribution through EMI. And so I've toured over 22 plus different countries. We've sold hundreds of thousands of albums, and I got about 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. And now I also coach other artists to avoid the mistakes that I made when trying to get into this music industry, because whether it's Christian or mainstream, you got to have thick skin and you need to know how to get your message out there, because you feel called. And I believe God still speaks to us, right? Like how do pastors know if they're called to the ministry? Well, obviously, hopefully they heard God's voice, and maybe you've heard that calling and God's like saying, okay, if not you, then who? You know, you're called to get this music out there, but you're not sure how to get it out there. Well, back in the day, I used to work 5 days a week, then I went to 4 and then 3, and then I finally quit my job when I got signed. And I thought I was going to be this Christian rock rap star overnight, and I ended up going $30,000 plus in debt. I had a manager that the Christian record label recommended to me and treated me really bad. You know, there's horror stories of Christian managers stealing money from Christian artists that I was hoping to sign with. And so you really got to know who you're working with, and just know that nobody's going to care about your music career as much as you. And you can't just hope. You know, you can't just say, oh, well, God called me to do it, I'm just going to put it out there and people are just going to find it. No. You know, like I said at the beginning, faith without works is dead. My buddy says faith without works is death. Your music career is dead on arrival if you don't promote it. Like, you need to get out there. Even Jesus sent his disciples out there to spread the message, right? If I hear this dope song and it's this worship song and it can impact people's life, or it's a really powerful story and you know that it can impact people's life if they heard it, then it's your job and my job to do everything possible to promote our song, our album, right? And so how do we do that? Well, you could be running Facebook and Instagram ads. You could be running Spotify ads. You could use your $1,000 phone that is free, and you can start making videos sharing about the story behind the song. What was the struggle that you went through, you know, that where this song came from? And what I've really realized as, you know, as a performer, as a speaker, as a coach, people relate more to your struggle than they do your success. And one of the biggest mistakes I made when I first even started writing Christian songs is my songs were too on the nose. And what I mean about that is one of the choruses for one of the songs was, yes, one day the sun will return, some will go to heaven and some will get burned. Okay, that is just like too much on the nose about like, you're going to go to hell if you don't know Jesus. And sure, that's the truth, right? But there's a way to deliver that's real, and then that's authentic, and that's going to connect to more people. You know, there's an artist named Jelly Roll that does this really well. He has a song called Save Me, you know, and it's this whole idea of like, God save me from this living hell, all the stuff that I've went through. I'm struggling with these drugs. I'm struggling with this alcohol. I'm struggling with, you know, maybe it's pornography, maybe it's, you know, alcoholism. I don't know what you're struggling with, but when you write about that struggle and you paint that vivid picture, as opposed to saying, you're wrong, you're this, you're that. Like, it's just not, like, nobody likes to get preached at, but I can still get preached at, and I can get cut by your story of what you went through and hearing like the pain and all the suffering or whatnot. Because like I talked about losing my dad to suicide in a lot of my songs, you know, because I didn't have a strong father figure, right? And so I could write about like, you know, don't commit suicide and suicide is bad and you're whatever. Or I could paint this picture of how I lost my dad and the struggles I went through of loneliness, of feeling like it was my fault and just, maybe cutting or whatever. I didn't cut, thank God for that. I definitely struggled with overeating, and different things, right? And you start to talk about these things and then direct them to the light, to the hope that's the end of the tunnel, because everybody's looking for hope and everybody loves an underdog story. Just as much as they don't want to get preached at, people don't want to see that you're perfect, right? They don't want to see that I'm perfect. And back in the day when we used to do the design and photography, my wife used to fix every little blemish on my face or whatnot. It's like, no, show the wrinkles, show the mistakes, because people relate to that, not only in your marketing and in your story, but they relate to it in your songs. And for a lot of you, procrastination, you keep putting it off. You keep putting your dream off and putting it off. And sometimes you Christian artists say, oh, I need to pray about that. Oh, I need to pray about that. And it's like, come on, dude, you've prayed about it enough. God is waiting for you. He's waiting for you to take action, for you to post on social media and then post again and then post again and then post again. 2 Timothy 1:7 says we weren't born with the spirit of fear, but the spirit of power, of love, and a sound mind. And we got to stop caring what other people think about us and care about what God thinks about us. And what's funny is even when I've been marketing to some more Christian artists, not only do I get the mainstream hate, sometimes I get the Christian hate. And you're going to get hate no matter what. Because, whether it's believers or non-believers, they all love to criticize that which they wish they had the courage to do. Right? And what does Joshua 1:8 says? It says to be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. And so you got to be courageous to put your music out there, to put yourself out there. And stop thinking it has to be perfect. I could set up more lights. I could set up more background. Sure, we got decent soundproof room or whatnot. It could always be better. It could always be edited. But you got to start somewhere. Done is better than perfect. Okay? And so you need to get your music out there first. And what do I always say to other artists, whether it's Christian or mainstream, is you look at all the posts that you've done, all the stories that you've done and shared about your music, whether it's lyric videos, music video posts, or just you performing in different places, right? Then you look at the best posts and you say, okay, that one crushed it. First of all, let's do more of that. Was it the story behind it, do you think? Was it the lighting? Was it the song? Right? Because remember, you got to have that catchy hook. You've got to have a great song, right? But you got to find out what's the best post, and then you run ads to that. And you got to keep doing this. We think that just one post, it's like, oh, I tried one, Scott, it didn't work. It's like, no, you tried a whole bunch of stuff the wrong way, and you kept on doing it the way you wanted to do it. You didn't try the post a whole bunch of different ways. I share on my Spotify 5-day challenge. And if you haven't joined that, you got to come to it because you get to ask me questions and I train for 2 hours. It's just awesome. But there's this one artist that posted his post 34 times. And it was on the 34th post that somebody was like, dude, you've posted this song enough, bro. Like, come on, move on. And he was really discouraged. He was really heartbroken. And maybe you feel discouraged right now. And he was about to give up. And then he posted again. And that was the one that went viral. And you see, you don't realize how close you are to your dream. Proverbs 24:16 says, even though a righteous man falls down 7 times, he gets up and goes again. I had released an EP, a 5-song EP. Then we released an album. That album was supposed to come out with a Christian record label, but I brought my hip-hop crew into the label meeting, and they totally wrecked the meeting, and so that deal didn't happen. And then I put the record out, we reapproached the label later on, and then we released another album with the label, and that's when I quit my job, and I thought oh, it's going to blow up. They did a little bit of radio promotion, but the only way we promoted back in the day was touring, right? And so that album wasn't doing very well, and then we released the second album, and it wasn't doing very well. It was a really good album, right? And then, and I have it here, which is really awesome. And so I remember being alone in Hot Springs, Arkansas, on my birthday on the release party, and nobody came barely to the show. Nobody was at the in-store signing barely. And I was literally ready to give up and just man, this is not working. And then one day on tour, on our way to the Dove Awards, because we were nominated for an award, I get a call from the record label. And they're like, dude, Chris, I got some good news. And I'm like, what? Please tell me some good news. Well, they're like, well, we imported your record into Japan. Okay, EMI Japan was checking it out. And they don't even believe in God. They don't have a God. They don't have a religion over there, right? And we sold 10,000 of these in the first week. And then they imported another 10,000, and those sold out in the first week. And then what's wild is this Christian record label all of a sudden wanted to sign me to a full deal. And they wanted to sign me to a publishing deal, and I was just like, this smells fishy, because it was a licensing deal where I actually got my albums back. And all of a sudden they're offering me this deal, and da-da-da-da, and I was like, I don't know about this. And they're like, we're going to pay for you to go to Japan and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know. So I was praying about this at church. And then one day at church, I remember like, oh my gosh, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I had this idea. I'm going to look up every Asian booking agent that represents like Japan and the Pacific, Asia Pacific. And like, hey, I'm selling all these records here. Can we set up a tour? And again, I had the idea. I didn't talk myself out of the idea. I took action immediately. That's what you need to do, because it only takes one negative comment to destroy a great idea. So I had this great idea, emailed all these booking agents. Within 24, 48 hours, I had an offer to get paid to bring my full band over to Japan. Okay, and then we went over to Japan. I ended up meeting EMI Japan, which is now Universal. We ended up doing a direct record deal with them, and we cut out the middleman, which was the label in the US. I didn't sign that deal, and I ended up getting my albums back. And so one of the biggest takeaways of this is you want to take action immediately. Procrastination is the assassination of your dreams. Stop worrying about it, stop wondering about it, and just get in the game. Promote it. Try things. You are going to fail. Trust me. That's why I wrote this book, and I share the whole story of this in my book, Fighter, 5 Keys to Conquering Fear and Reaching Your Dreams. Because first of all, you need courage to step out for that dream. Then you need to have perseverance to keep going when the first post doesn't work, or the second post, the 5th post, maybe the 34th post. If we look at my success, right? The first album had 5 songs. The second album had 10 songs. That's 16 songs. Then the third one had another 12 songs. That's 30-something songs. And then I'm about, 40 plus songs done, and I'm ready to give up. I'm ready to give up. I'm ready to call it quits. And maybe you're feeling like you want to give up. And can I encourage you to step out and go again? Maybe you tried a radio campaign, it didn't work. Maybe you tried a tour, that didn't work. Maybe you tried, some online marketing, Facebook and Instagram ads. Maybe you chose the wrong video. You probably had the wrong video. You probably were saying the wrong thing in your copy. You might have the wrong part of the hook. Maybe it's just the wrong song. Because I like to say, just because like it's Christian, you got a message, doesn't mean people want to hear it. It has to be good. It has to be packaged. It has to sound amazing, right? To win people over. So we want the best stuff. We want the best written songs, the best produced songs. And then you've got to push it and you've got to market it. But you can't keep doing this start, stop, start, stop. Start, stop. No, you got to keep going. You've got to persevere until you have that moment of breakthrough, right? I look at it like a plane. Okay, a plane has to go fast enough to break the law of gravity, which is the higher law. What's the higher law than gravity? Lift. Once you trigger the element of, or the law of lift, that's more powerful than gravity. And that's what you need for promoting your songs. But so many artists, they quit too early and they haven't marketed hard enough. It takes, to reach thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, it's going to take more than $5 a day on Facebook ads. I'm sorry, or Instagram ads. Okay. It's going to take more than just maybe one viral post that gets 1 million views. And then even if you get that viral post, which you can, and a lot of Christian and mainstream artists are, well, then that's got to translate to streams. Okay, it can't just be a viral post because of just a meme. It could if the song is front and center, but what's the post around the song? We have to have that engaging content and the story behind the song, like in the first second. Like when you create a post, you need to grab their attention in the first 2 seconds. What's that grab them statement about the song? I used to struggle with, if you struggle with alcoholism like I did, this song might speak to you. If you've had someone cheat on you just like I had, then I wrote this song for you. Like, nail them right in the head. What's that song about? What's that trigger statement? What do you know about, if you've blacked out at the bar before and woke up with your clothes on in a strange place before, then this song might just speak to you, right? Like, that gets to the heart of the issue as opposed to my new single is out now. My new single is out now. Song just dropped. The album just dropped. And that's the other thing I'll say is, we are not in an album economy anymore. Yes, albums still sell, both CDs, vinyl, and obviously digital with streams, but you've got to release singles. Don't just put the whole album out. You got to be strategic releasing singles, which we call the waterfall strategy. And what I like to do, and I talk about this in Spotify Profits, is you want to release like four songs. Then maybe the fifth one is an EP where you bundle them all online. And then you release another 4 songs. That's 9 as singles. And then the 10th one, you put all 10 of those songs as an album. Maybe you include some bonuses, right? And that way, and you got to make sure you're using the same ISRC codes when you upload the song, so you don't lose any of those previous stream numbers, because we want to get our stream numbers up, right? Because again, people judge a book by its cover. Okay, I'm sorry, they do. People judge people, but and they don't hear you first. Sometimes they see you first, and your picture, right? Your photograph, your first post is how they judge you. And then they're like, okay, if this doesn't look good, it's probably not going to sound good. So we need to bring people in to get them to listen, to hear the message, to make an impact. And I know you've been called to this, and I just want to encourage you to keep going. Maybe you've fallen down a million times. Get up and go again. Get in the game. Shoot your shot. You're called to greatness. Come to our Spotify 5-day challenge if you want to go deeper and ask questions, and then you can be invited to our coaching program if you're a good fit. But I'll put all the links below. But just get in the game. Get in the game, and I'll see you in the next video.